I'm Marcela Lorca. I think that the audience will encounter an ensemble of players that are going to tell a story with a lot of imagination and a lot of creativity and playfulness. A great story of love, revenge, action, and mercy and compassion. I like to work with this idea of layers where there's several strands of the story coming together at the same time, and the audiences can track them through movement on stage and sometimes through text. So you might have a scene that's playing, but you might have something visual that's happening at the same time that's advancing the story in some other way. And it's very interesting when you can do 2 or 3 layers of the story, so the story unfolds with great complexity, but it can be easily be captured by an audience. I think there's so many different aspects of the story that can be continuing as we move through the storytelling. For example, there's this big gap of 18 years. All of a sudden a scene ends in the script and then another one begins right away, and it's 18 years later. So how do we tell that time is passing and people are advancing and they're aging, and Mercedes is looking for his lost lover? What are they doing in those 18 years? So there's great opportunities to keep unfolding the story in physical ways that are not necessarily in the script. I'm going to set the play at the time that it occurred, that Alexandre Dumas set it in 1815 in France. And I'm very interested in that particular period of time. It was right after Bonaparte was actually in exile in an island in Elba. And I love the period. I love the movement of the period. It's a theatrical style that's very extroverted in a sense, that is very visually rich, and I'm very interested in exploring that, but also exploring a modern edge to that and our own version of what that modern edge might be. In terms of the music, I love classical music, so I'm going back to research the roots of that period, which was a romantic period in France. So there's great melodies and great sweep in the music, but also to give it a contemporary edge, maybe a rock edge, some strong bass, some strong drumming, and maybe even some sound or choral music that might come from live from the ensemble on stage. Well, I just saw a version of The Three Musketeers, and one thing that I saw in this version is that there was a lot of action and a lot of sword fighting, and it was entertaining and physical in that way, but I didn't feel that it has the core that Monte Cristo has, which at the core there's a very strong love story. It starts at a point where these lovers are coming back together, getting married, and then the story takes off from there, and suddenly this man is exiled through an incredible injustice, and then he has to find his way back to life and take revenge, and eventually find his lost love and his lost son. So it's a very personal story, and it's really the root of the story is a love story. I'm very excited about doing an outdoors play in an epic space. I've worked in a lot of epic spaces. I like the physicality that it invites. It invites a certain amount of panache and style and a strong relationship with the audience. And the audience, what we're going to try is to really kind of bring the audience onto the stage and bring ourselves onto the audience. So it's you know, outdoors performance and epic plays like that, they started in Greece as a community event, as a social event, as a communal ritual. And that's something that I'm really interested all the time in investigating, and that's why I wanted to have a choral presence, so that there's strength of the chorus telling the story fully to the audience, and there's a full engagement between the ensemble and a big audience in a big space.